felt like something just wasn't quite right in your relationship? Like maybe there was some deeper danger lurking beneath the surface? Maybe you even started wondering if there were signs that you missed or if the situation was more demonic than you ever thought. Today, we're going to expose the 8 demonic ways that narcissists mess with your mind, revealing the subtle tactics they use to manipulate and control. And there's one thing that narcissists say that should make you run. So stick with me, because the more you understand these tactics, the better equipped you'll be able to stand firm and break free. Oh, hey, my friend. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Kris, and it is my hope to help you navigate difficult relationships and conquer codependency biblically. I also want to invite you to grab a copy of our free Narcissist Survival Guide. I'll go ahead and include a link in the description box. Narcissists will use a variety of tactics to control, confuse, and dominate you on every level, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And these methods are specifically designed to sever your connection to the truth, therefore leaving you more susceptible to their manipulation. It's kind of like being caught in a spider web. At first, the strands seem delicate, almost harmless, but the more you try to navigate the situation, the tighter the web becomes, pulling you deeper and deeper into the trap. Maybe you mistake their manipulation for love, or you find yourself over-explaining in an attempt to help them understand, or perhaps you just simply go along to get along, but before you realize it, you are now completely entangled in their web of control. So sign number 1 can best be described as walking through a thick fog. At first you think you know where you're going, you're confident in your steps, but with each moment, that fog grows denser, blurring your surroundings, making you question if you're still on the right path. And the more you try to find your way, the more disoriented you become, until you're totally unsure of what's real and what isn't. And this is the effect of gaslighting. It's subtle at first, but before long, you're completely lost, doubting your own reality, all of your perceptions, and even your memories. And the clearer you try to see, the more confusing everything becomes. And the narcissists frequently use gaslighting to make you doubt your own reality. They may twist facts, deny things they said or did, or manipulate situations to make you question your own perceptions. And spiritually, this can be seen as a form of demonic deception, intended to sow confusion and weaken your confidence in yourself and even in God. They know the truth. They don't want you to know the truth. So they twist the truth, they lie, to get you to believe that that's not the truth. John 8:44 reminds us where this type of behavior comes from when it says, "You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies." This tactic isn't something recently coined by psychology. This deception has been around since the fall of Satan. Did God really say? He is the truth twister, and so is the narcissist. And his purpose, and the narcissist's, is to destabilize you mentally and spiritually by making you doubt what is true. Who does that sound like? Sign number 2 is like being a puppet on a string. At first, you believe you are in control, making your own choices, but little by little, someone else is pulling the strings, guiding your every move. And you start off confident, but with every tug, you're steered in a different direction until you can't even tell where your desires end and theirs begin. And this is the essence of manipulation through emotional control. Narcissists know how to pull at your heartstrings using guilt and fear and insecurity to bend your actions to their will, all the while making you believe you're still in charge. And narcissists are master manipulators who weaponize your emotions, turning your love, loyalty, and vulnerabilities into tools that they can use for control and ultimately use against you later. They operate like Satan, the ultimate deceiver, who presents himself as an angel of light, seeming righteous while leading you astray. And we see this reflected in 2 Corinthians 11, verses 14 through 15. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their behavior isn't just manipulative, it's demonic, as it seeks to override your free will, drawing you further into their control. And sign number 3 is like being slowly walled off from the wall around you. At first, it's so subtle that you don't even notice it's happening. Small remarks about your friends, innocent seeming suggestions to spend more time alone, or subtle criticisms of the people in your life. At first, it seems like they're just looking out for you. But over time, these comments become bricks, slowly building a wall between you and the people you once found so dear. Eventually, you find yourself cut off from your friends, your family, and even your faith. And what started as subtle guidance has turned into a complete separation from the relationships that once gave you strength. Now you're completely dependent upon the narcissist, and they've created a divide that makes them the only source of connection and influence in your life. This is isolation through the spirit of division, a demonic tactic that seeks to separate you from the truth, from support systems, and from people who care about you. Narcissists thrive in division, leaving you more vulnerable and dependent on them. And James 3:16 says, "For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice." Narcissists are driven by their own selfish ambition. They create disorder by sowing division in your life. And this isolation isn't just physical, it's emotional and spiritual. And it is a strategy to pull you further away from those who would tell you the truth and deeper into their control. Sign number 4 is like being trapped in a hall of mirrors. Every time you think you found clarity, the reflection changes, and it's distorting reality, and it's making you question what's true. And that's because narcissists use mind games and mixed messages to keep you constantly off balance. One day they're warm and loving, and the next day they're cold and distant. And you try to adjust, you work on yourself, you try not to let it bother you so much, but no matter what you do, they're always shifting, making it impossible for you to feel secure in the relationship until you try to disengage, only to then be blamed for not loving them enough. And their mind mess thrives on confusion, making you question your own thoughts, actions, and even memories. And you start wondering, did I misinterpret that? Did I say something wrong? Is it my childhood trauma? But the truth is, they're constantly moving the target, keeping you stuck in a mental fog, searching for the approval and stability that they never intended to give. And while this is intentional in many ways, one thing to remember is that the target is always moving for them as well. One minute they're feeling superior, the next their self-esteem is in the trash. One minute they're confident in their decisions, the next they're blaming you for everything wrong in their lives. And this is the spirit of confusion, a tactic used to disorient and control. Narcissists create chaos to keep you in a state of uncertainty, relying on them for direction and validation. And they thrive in this because they love chaos. So it's not necessarily intentional. It actually comes natural for them. And the more confused you are, the more power they have over your life. But 1 Corinthians 14:33 tells us that God is not the God of confusion, but of peace. Where there is confusion, disorder, and constant mixed signals, it is clear that God's peace is absent. And where God is absent, you know who is present and hard at work. Sign number 5 feels like being constantly put on trial for crimes you didn't commit. And narcissists can't help but use false accusations and blame shifting to make you feel guilty for things that aren't your fault. They turn the tables on you, accusing you of the behaviors and the mistakes that are often a reflection of what they've actually done wrong. Yes, it is classic projection, and it is demonic. No matter how hard you try to explain yourself, they twist your words and manipulate the situation to make you look like the problem. And their tactic is simple. By putting you on the defensive, accusing you of the very things that they are doing, they deflect attention away from their own actions. And you find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, constantly trying to prove that you are not the one at fault. And all the while, the attention is successfully diverted away from their evil behavior. And this keeps you trapped in a cycle of guilt and confusion while the narcissist avoids any responsibility for their own behavior. And this tactic mirrors the work of Satan as the accuser, constantly attacking, blaming, and tearing others down to hide their own darkness. In Revelation 12:10, we read, "For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God." Just like Satan is the accuser of the brethren, narcissists operate in the same way, falsely accusing and shifting blame to keep you disempowered and on the defensive. So now, sign number 6 is like being on an emotional roller coaster. One minute you're lifted high, and the next you are plummeting down. Narcissists use love bombing and devaluation to keep you constantly guessing. At first, they overwhelm you with affection and praise, and they put you on a pedestal, giving you all the attention, making you feel like you're the most important person in the world. And it feels amazing, like you finally found someone who sees your worth. But just as quickly, that love and attention are yanked away, leaving you feeling confused and desperate. And this emotional high, followed by a sudden low, is a tactic of control. By flooding you with the love and then devaluing you, narcissists keep you chasing after the validation that you once received, all the while making you question your own worth. And one moment they treat you like you're perfect, and the next they make you feel like nothing you do is enough. It's actually a part of splitting, too. And this cycle is designed to keep you hooked, constantly trying to regain their affection. You see, narcissists love to be chased. It's all part of that spirit of control that narcissist uses the extreme emotional shifts to manipulate your feelings, keep you dependent upon their approval, and chasing after them for the next high. It is a toxic cycle that can leave you emotionally drained and constantly questioning your self-worth. And the Bible warns us about those who manipulate others for their own gain. And it's found in 2 Peter 2:3. And here's what it says. "And in their greed, they will exploit you with false words." Watch out. The narcissists exploit your emotions using false love to control you and then devalue you to keep you in line. This isn't just a personality flaw. This is a spiritual attack designed to keep you trapped in a cycle of seeking validation from someone who never truly values you. Have you ever tried to argue with a brick wall? Well, that's what sign number 7 can feel like. No matter how clear the issue is, no matter how compelling your case, no matter how much evidence you present, they just will not take responsibility. In fact, the more you press, the more they avoid. And oftentimes in ways that completely shut down communication altogether. And that's because they cannot and do not and will not take responsibility for their actions. When things go wrong, it's always someone else's fault. And you could be talking about something obvious, something they clearly did, but instead of owning up to it, they turn the blame back on you or someone else. It's exhausting. It leaves you feeling frustrated, like you're the only one trying to work through issues. Because the truth is, you are. Their refusal to acknowledge their mistakes comes from a deep-rooted spirit of pride. Narcissists view themselves above reproach. Admitting fault would shatter that fragile self-image. So rather than deal with the truth, why would they do that? They deflect, they twist, they manipulate the situation, leaving you carrying the emotional, mental, and physical weight of their mistakes. Look, this isn't just immaturity or some simple case of stubbornness. It's pride. And it's a spiritual cancer that narcissists refuse to be held accountable. And isn't that what Satan did when he said, "I will be like the Most High"? But Proverbs 16:18 warns us that pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Narcissists are driven by pride. Their arrogant refusal to take responsibility not only harms their relationships, but is also a sign of deeper spiritual issues. And they will do anything to avoid accountability, making their pride not just frustrating, but demonically dangerous to anyone trying to connect with them. Sign number 8, I know you're going to be all too familiar with. but likely not recognize it for what it truly is. And if you've ever felt like you are constantly walking on eggshells, never knowing when the next blow up is going to come, you have experienced the narcissist's use of intimidation and fear. And this demonic tactic is designed to keep you in check. Sometimes it's overt, like threats or angry outbursts, and at other times it's a bit more subtle, like that disapproving look or that all-famous silent treatment. Either way, the message is clear. If you don't fall in line, you're going to pay. And isn't this just how Satan operates? Punishment is served up like a trap waiting to snap shut the moment you step out of line. So who wouldn't end up feeling anxious, always second-guessing themselves, afraid to upset them and say the wrong thing with a person like that? And this fear doesn't just come from their anger. It's about power. Narcissists thrive on keeping you scared and unsure, making you more likely to bend to their will. And then that spirit of fear takes hold of you, making you feel powerless, as though the only option is to stay quiet and compliant. Slowly, you then start to avoid conflict, thinking that if you just keep the peace, everything will be okay. But the reality is they've created an environment where you're always on edge, never truly safe. And this isn't just a relationship issue. This is a spiritual battle. And the Bible tells us that fear is not from God. Yes, we have a fear of God, but not of man. 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds us, for God gave us not a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. The fear and intimidation that narcissists use are tools of the enemy, and they are designed to break down your sense of safety and self-worth. Every single one of these tactics has the same goal. They are to mess with your mind. But because the enemy knows that everything begins in the mind, he then can create confusion, self-doubt, emotional exhaustion, spiritual disconnection. And my friend, he's then got you right where he wants you. And where do you think the narcissist has learned his or her tricks? And if you don't understand the demonic spirits behind narcissism, you too could be caught in their web of destruction. So, to discover those undeniable signs that prove that narcissists actually are controlled by demons, I want you to be sure to check out this episode next. And for practical and spiritual tips to deal with the narcissists in your life, be sure to grab a copy of our free Narcissist Survival Guide. I'll include a link in the description section below.